Welcome to the Old Shoe Classic. Canton and Troy clash in what has become an area high school tradition. I'm Steve Williams, along with Tim Fyock, and we'll be describing the action on tonight's cable cast. Helping to bring you tonight's game are these fine sponsors. The First National Bank of Canton for Cash Stream, Wheeler's Restaurant, delicious meals and friendly service. Joe's Sports Center for Action Suzuki four-wheelers. The Troy Auto Parts Store, your Napa dealer. Kay and Sue's Restaurant, the best coffee in town. The Canton Telephone Company for call waiting. The Canton Pharmacy, your complete prescription center. Calkins Motor Home Sales for Ram Tough Dodge trucks. The First Bank of Troy, now with Troy Teller. Morrison Seeger, Philco, Quasar, and King Coil. The Shawley Agency, your independent agent. The Armenia Mountain Trading Post for comfortable shoes. Eastern Milk Producers, dairy stores in Canton and Troy. Canton Card and Gift Shop for American greeting cards. 14 Appliance and TV Center, RCA and Panasonic in Troy and Canton. Baldwin's Hardware, Service Star quality, friendly service. Cards Furniture, 300 Lazy Boys in stock. C&B Sporting Goods, everything for the hunter. Guston's Jewelry, custom workmanship at affordable prices. And the D&H Keystone Market, meats, produce, and Pennsylvania Lottery. Please remember to patronize our sponsors and tell them you heard their ad here on Channel 10. Coming up in football action this afternoon, we have the Troy Trojans visiting the host Canton Warriors for the 32nd Old Shoe Classic game. In the series, the Canton Warriors have a slight lead with 15 wins. The Troy Trojans have 13 wins, and there have been 3 ties in the 31 games played thus far. Now, today's game has importance for the Troy Trojans as they have a possibility of a district playoff. If they can improve their record here, they have a 4-4-1 overall record, and they currently are 3rd in the NTL. There's a chance that they will go on and qualify for district playoffs with a win today. There's a lot of pride on the line in this big rivalry, and the Canton-Troy players, who most of them know each other quite well on and off the field, and this is for the bragging rights of the area. It's also the last game for many of the seniors playing on each team. And we also have the interesting aspect of a matchup between 2 young starting lineups. This will feature Canton, which has quite a potent passing attack behind Sean Tymason, the quarterback, with 55% completions on the year, and he's thrown for 1,001 yards. Troy will feature a rushing attack bolstered by Morgan White, the 6th leading NTL rusher, with 99 carries for 573 yards or 5.7 yards a carry. Now, I mentioned that we have 2 young starting lineups. Both schools have lost a number of players due to disciplinary actions at one point or another during the season, and both teams have had a number of injuries, and Canton Warriors have had boys in and out of the lineup throughout the year because of injuries. So that will become a factor during the game also. And Tim, how about some of your comments on today's action?
Well, I think, as you've mentioned there, you can throw all the records out the window, no matter what the teams have done prior to the Old Shoe game. This is a brand new, this is like one game that makes up an entire season. We'll hopefully have good weather for the game. It's been raining a lot, but now it's stopped. The field seems to be in good condition, and I think we can look for a lot of hard hitting, and hopefully few injuries. As you mentioned also about the fact we have a lot of young players. Canton earlier in the year, because of a lot of injuries and some disciplinary problems, had to go with a lot of their JV boys starting to play. And now Troy has had to do the same thing here coming near the end of the season. So it should make for a very even game. And there's been an awful lot of talk about, how the outcome of the game will be, and that's normally the case. Troy, of course, is hoping they're going to win, Canton the same, and we will know after this game is over, of course. We'll hope that turnovers will not decide it. We hope it will just be a good, hard-fought game. Let's see. We're going to give you the starting lineups. First of all, for Canton, on offense, the tight end is number 82, Stacy Brackman. The left tackle is Cal Phillips, number 75. The guard, it will be either Gary Glechter, number 61, or Craig Rout, number 62. The center, number 52, Jack Steiner. The right guard, number 74, Larry Boyer. The right tackle, number 72, Bill Skipper. And the split end is number 11, Bill Skipper. Quarterback, as Steve already mentioned, is number 14, Sean Tymason. The fullback will be either Rob Wisniewski, number 43, or Tim Ward, number 41. The tailback will be Dan Wisniewski, number 42. So the Warriors, as we said, have had a pretty good passing attack, and will hope to take advantage of that if the weather holds off so that they won't have a lot of rain. On defense, the Warriors are basically, they're playing almost the same boys both ways. At the left end, defensive end, they run a 6-3. The left end is Rusty Morgan, number 34. The left tackle, Bill Skipper, 72. The left guard is, let me see, Steve Komareski, 65, or else Gary Glechter, 61. The right guard will be 82, Stacy Brackman. The tackle, 74, Larry Boyer. And the right defensive end will be Dave Brees, number 10. The three linebackers, middle linebacker, Bill Butters, or Mike Butters, number 44. Rob Wisniewski will be the left linebacker, number 43. The right linebacker will be Tim Ward, 41. And the halfbacks will be Bill Colley, number 11, and Brett Bentley, number 21. Now, Steve, would you like to give us the starting lineup for Troy?
Okay, starting offensive lineup for Troy will feature at one end, number 86, Mike Gordon. At the left tackle, Kurt Schucker, number 77. At left guard, Wayne Wagner, number 68. The center will be number 61, Scott Knoll. The right guard is Andy Buckley, number 67. Right tackle, Darren Rathbun, number 56. And the right end, number 80, Jim Shedden, or number 89, Brian Watkins. At quarterback, it will be number 13, Brian Hawley, starting. Fullback will be either number 30, Steve Beers, or number 31, Morgan White. Tailback, number 40, Keith Spencer. And the I-back or wing-back, depending on what formation they're in, will be possibly Rick Ross, number 24, or number 33, Roger Feathers. Across the defensive front, 4 defensive linemen for the Troy defense. On the left end will be number 89, Brian Watkins. Left tackle, number 67, Andy Buckley. Number 56, the right tackle, Darren Rathbun. And the right end, number 86, Mike Gordon. The 4 linebackers, Keith Spencer, number 40, and Jim Shedden, number 80, are the outside linebackers. They'll switch sides from time to time to shadow the strong side of the formation. The inside linebackers will be number 31, Morgan White, or number 33, Roger Feathers. The halfbacks are number 24, Rick Ross, and number 28, John Russell. And we'll see Brian Hawley, number 13, with action at safety on the defensive side. So there you have the starting lineups for the Canton Warriors and the Troy Trojans.
Steve, I was going to say one other thing. As we've been giving the lineups, you've noticed on your screen, you're seeing this is Parents' Day for the Warriors, and they've been introducing all of the cheerleaders, the band, the football team, all areas of the activities here at Canton High, and introducing the parents and of the seniors. So at this time, I think we'll return to the Old Shoe Classic after this word from our sponsors.
We have the Canton Warriors kicking off from the south end of the field. Kicking off will be number 20 for the Warriors, and that is Scott May kicking off. Back deep to receive is number 24, Rick Ross, and also number 28 for the Trojans, John Russell. Kick is taken by number 33, Roger Feathers. He works to the right side of the field, looking on the right return. He's got a big opening, weaving his way through the Warrior players, and he's finally brought down near midfield, about the Trojan 47-yard line. So the Trojans get a big kickoff return from Roger Feathers to start off the game.
That's the type of big play that the Trojans were hoping to get. The ball was handled kind of roughly by Feathers, but after he picked up the loose ball, he worked up that right sideline and got the ball out to about the 48-yard line.
Trojans come up with a 1st and 10 from their own 47. Brian Hawley at quarterback. Rick Ross has flanked out to the left side. Tailbacks are Spencer and Morgan White. Number 31 takes the handoff, the inside handoff to the fullback. Little or no gain on the play. And the stop made by number 82, Stacy Brackman.
Just a straight dive. They're setting up the option by giving the ball to the fullback. Next time, possibly pull that ball out, and the quarterback will option down the line.
We have a 2nd and 10 coming up for the Trojans. And Holly has Ross flanked to the right side. Split end is number 28, Russell. Holly runs an option around the left side. Picks up about 4 or 5 on the play. And a stop made by number 44, Mike Butters, the middle linebacker for the Warriors.
Holly's quite quick. He has quick feet and was able to pick up short yardage, so it brings up a 3rd and rather long situation, about 3rd and 5.
Trojans moving on the first drive of the game, following a nice opening kickoff return by Roger Feathers. Holly calls signals, takes a snap, and hands on an inside counter play to Russell, number 24. Or excuse me, that's Ross, number 24. And Ross appears to have first down yardage.
Ross went in motion there from his flanker spot, took the inside handoff as he came up over right guard or tackle, and worked his way up into what is now a first down. So Trojans come out over the ball. They have it on about the 42-yard line of the Warriors.
And the Warriors shift a little now, giving an odd man look to that defensive line. Holly takes the snap, inside handoff to Morgan White, and he's stopped by number 72, Bill Skipper, and 75, Cal Phillips.
Number 31. All right, that brings up a 2nd and about 8 yards for the Trojans. They have the ball on about just nuzzling over the 40-yard line of the Warriors. Warrior defense playing a 6-3.
It appears that Troy's using that ground game we talked about prior to the game, Tim.
Yep.
In the early going, they've stuck to the ground. And Holly hit early in the backfield by number 44, Mike Butters, coming through on a stunt. And he never regained his balance, took a few more steps, and then fell for the loss.
That was just, I'd call that an impact tackle, because Butters blitzed from his middle linebacker spot, hit Holly, and he just ricocheted off of the front of the numbers of Butters and ended up on the ground. He's quite a bit smaller.
And that'll cause a 3rd and 12 here, Tim, so we'll see what Troy will do in the long yardage situation now from about the 43 of the Warriors.
Split wide out there to the right. He goes deep.
He's back to throw, and he's looking for number 28, Russell. Russell has the catch, and he's in for the score.
Touchdown.
So we get the first long yardage situation of the game, and sophomore Holly drops back and throws a touchdown pass of 42 yards to John Russell, number 28. Trojans jump out to the early lead.
That was a beautiful pass. There was no deception to that. Just had Russell just run a straight fly pattern right down for the corner. And
Brett Bentley back there trying to defend and could not keep up with him quite on his move there.
Bentley has been out injured. This is the first game he's been in.
Kicking the point after touchdown is Keith Spencer for the Trojans. Ball's down, the kick is up and no good. Little too low. And we have the first score of the ball game. It's 6-0. Troy Trojans lead. And we'll be right back with more Old Shoe action after this word from our sponsors. We're back to the Warrior Field, where the Warriors are set to receive their first kickoff of the afternoon. They kicked off to the Trojans to open the action. Trojans promptly marched down the field, a little over 50 yards for the first score of the game, and Troy leads 6-0 after a 42-yard touchdown pass from Brian Holly to John Russell. And now kicking off for the Trojans is number 40, Keith Spencer. Back deep to receive for the Warriors, 41, Tim Ward, and 42, Dan Wisniewski. And Spencer puts the toe to the ball. Bill Cawley fields it on his knee, so there will be no return.
Yeah, in high school football, the knee touches the ground and you're down, and so Cauley had to drop to one knee to make that low catch, and so it'll be the Warrior ball.
And that's a fielding that will cause fans to be upset, Tim, but I don't think coaches mind that. They'd rather have you field the ball cleanly, even if you have to drop to a knee, than to slap it with your hand and muff it, knock it around down there.
It's on the 20. It's not in real deep field position.
All right, 1st and 10 Warriors from the 20. They come out in the I formation. Cauley splits, and Tim Ward, the power I back, goes to the left side. Handoff goes to Mike Butters, starting at fullback, and he goes over the right side of the line for a big pickup on the play. I think he picked up about 6.
I imagine the Warriors are happy to have Butters back. He had a dislocated elbow and has just come back into the lineup this week for the first time, so he picked up a 5-yard gain there. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 5. Just a little handoff over the right guard spot.
And center Jack Steiner comes up over the ball as Tymason brings the Canton Warriors up for a 2nd and 5. Cauley again splits to the left. This time Ward sets on the left side of the offense and takes a little counter handoff back over the right side. And he's dropped there by number 89. That's Brian Watkins on the tackle for the Troy Trojans, but he picked up 1st down yardage.
Watkins was a very active player last week in the game between Troy and Athens, and he made the tackle, but not after Ward was able to make that nice inside gain of about 6 yards.
Now the Warriors are moving, coming with their own ground attack, like the Troy Trojans did, to get started off. Butters takes a handoff around the right side, breaks out around the end, and picks up another 1st down out near the 45 of the Warriors.
Nice job by Butters. It looked like the play was going to go off tackle, and he saw the hole was closed, so he juked to the outside, gave a stiff arm to one of the Troy players, and did a nice hard job of running and picked up another 1st down. So the Warriors have the ball. Let me see. It's just shy of the 50. No, it's shy of the 45 on about the 44-yard line.
1st and 10, Canton Warriors. We're at the 7:23 mark in the 1st quarter, and Troy leads 6-0.
On the down one, for Deering.
Handoff goes to Butters over the right side again. He bowls ahead for a few yards. In there on the stop, number 24, Rick Ross from his halfback spot. Number 40, Keith Spencer from the linebacking spot.
So the Warriors are content to do the same as Troy did, to run that ground game as long as the yardage is there. And then when Troy got boggled down there and had a 3rd and long, they went to the pass and hit pay dirt. So let's see, 2nd and about 5 for the Warriors.
Cauley splits out to the right on a 2nd and 5. Handoff goes inside to Tim Ward, bumps into his own blocker, loses a little momentum, and then gets another yard or two before he's brought down by number 80, Jim Shedden, and number 33, Roger Feathers. Trojans have forced a 3rd down and about 2 just across the 50-yard line.
And the Warriors are running the ball on the ground, as we mentioned, and that was the ball going right up the middle. As they handed off to Tim, he had a good 2nd effort, but not enough for the 1st down.
Tymason calling signals, puts Tim Ward off to the left side of the backfield. Handoff. Tymason keeps on a little counter play, and he gets around the right end and out of bounds inside the 35-yard line of the Troy Trojans.
I think he faked a lot of people out that time, Steve.
He faked me out, Tim.
Tymason did a nice job of faking the handoff, kept the ball, rolled out to his right, came up along the near sidelines, and if he hadn't been tripped up, I believe it was Morgan White got a hand out on the ankle, he would have been gone down the sideline. So it's 1st and 10 for the Warriors. They have the ball on about the 34-yard line of the Trojans.
Warriors come out with the double tight ends in the I formation. Ward sets off to the left of the halfback spot. Butters takes a run up over the middle on the handoff from Tymason, and he picks up a couple.
All right. Nothing fancy in the Warrior attack. About as fancy as we got was that fake there on the last play that Tymason kept the ball. They're pretty much going straight at the defense of the Trojans, trying to punch that ball down the field. And they picked up about 3, so it brings up a 2nd and 7. Steiner brings the Warriors out over center. The right side is the one they seem to be running, and that's got Larry Boyer at guard and Skipper at tackle.
Cauley now splits out to the left as Tymason sets his offense with the power I backfield to the right. Tymason fumbles the snap and drops on it Morgan White there to assure that the recovery is made. Not there in time to recover the ball. But that gives me an opportunity to say a word about Morgan White, Tim. We've watched him last week, and he certainly is a big contributor on this Troy defense from his inside linebacking spot. Does a heck of a job.
Yes, sir.
Warriors come out with the 2 tight ends again. Power eye to the left. Tymason on the keeper. Turns up inside. Gets a block from Brackman, number 82. Picks up pretty good yardage.
Yeah, that was.
But it's not first down yardage, and
that was
that'll bring up
almost,
fourth.
I'm sorry, Steve. That was almost the same situation. They had a third and rather long yardage as the Trojans had. The Trojans went to the air on their third down situation. The Warriors elected to have a quarterback keep. This brings up about a 4th and 3 situation. The ball is just about in the center of the field, and I think with the ball in the location it is inside the 30 that the Warriors are definitely going for it.
They come up to go for it on 4th down and close to 3 yards. Looks like Ward takes the pitch and comes forward, coughs up the ball on a hard hit, and then we have a flag sail in there, or is that a marker? There is a flag coming in right at the end of the play. We'll wait and see what happens here as the officials sort this out. We have a face mask against Troy. I believe that will carry a first down with it, won't it, Tim?
Yes, it will. Tim Ward trying to go for that second effort. He's not very big, about 150 pounds, going for the second effort on his running attempt to pick up that first down, and they really blistered him, and when they did, the ball popped free, but at the same time, they must have had hold of that face mask. That might have had something to do with the ball coming loose.
And it's the kind of day where we might expect that to happen. We've got a rainy, grimy afternoon here. It's not currently raining, but it rained hard all morning, and the ball is soaked, I'm sure. The grass is wet. Tough break for the Trojans as they forced a turnover there, but they don't get to take advantage of it. And not only that, the penalty moves the ball all the way down to about the 7-yard line of the Trojans. So it'll be first and goal for the Warriors.
Goal from the 7. 44 is Butters. 43 is Wisniewski as the fullback. That's Rob Wisniewski. Tymason, 14 is a quarterback.
And Ward out there in the slot. Tymason calling signals. Handoff goes to Butters inside. He plows straight ahead behind some tight blocking in there in the middle. Things were really jammed up, but Butters seems to have the size and speed to be able to move that pile ahead a little bit.
Craig Rout comes off the field. He and Gary Gleckner, the left guards, are shuttling the plays in for the Warrior offensive team. So it's second down and about 5 yards, 5 or 4 yards.
Looks like second and goal from the 5, Tim. But the double tight ends now. Ward steps out to the left, and Tymason follows the lead block of Ward, tries to cut inside and lost his footing. He had an opening there for a minute. From our angle on the camera there, you could see the opening Tymason was trying to shoot through, but he just didn't quite make it as he lost his footing.
That's one thing. The straight ahead running is your best play on a wet field. That type of action there, we had to cut back. His footing is more apt to go out from under you. The field, I would have to say, is in excellent condition considering the rain we've had.
Third and goal from the 4. Trojan defense digging in. Butters hits straight ahead, and it looks like he is in for the touchdown. Canton Warriors tie it up 6-6, and we'll have the attempt for the point after coming up. Looks like Scott May will be coming in to kick the point after. May was the kicker earlier in the season, then spent some time on the injured list. And Jack Strozik did some very able kicking for the Warriors. And now Scott May back in there to kick as he is healthy again.
Well, this could give the Warriors the lead for the first time if they are able to get the extra point.
And they're waiting.
That's been one of
waiting for a guard. They have to call timeout so they don't get a delay of game.
Steve Komareski, number 65, was a little late getting in there. He just came in. On the other, there goes Bill Skipper back out onto the field, 72. So we're, how about if we pause now during this timeout for a word from our sponsor.
Make sure everybody knows that the Canton varsity girls volleyball team is a state tournament this weekend. Big round of applause.
I think they heard that. You think they heard that?
We're back to live action here after the timeout. Warriors attempting the point after touchdown. Scott May's kick is up and good. And the Canton Warriors take the lead 7-6 with 2:33 to go in the first quarter. Hold everything. We have a penalty. Apparently it's on the defense. So the good kick stands. Did you see the penalty there, Tim?
No, I didn't.
That looks like it will be assessed on the following kickoff, maybe running into the kicker.
All right, so we've got a 7-6 score. Warriors in the lead. It's turned out to be a lot of offense so far. Hasn't been a punt yet. We're going for, on fourth down, going for the extra yardage to pick up the first down. The Warriors were in the field position to do that, and it paid off because with that second effort on Tim Ward's part, plus a face mask by the Trojans, allowed the ball to be moved down into first down yardage, and it brought it right into the shadow. Well, there aren't any shadows today. It's so overcast, but shadow of the goal line. And finally on third down, they were able to take the ball in with Mike Butters going across from the 4-yard line. So this
now Scott May tees it up from the 45-yard line of the Trojans due to the running into the kicker penalty on the extra point. Russell fields it. Takes it out to about his 18-yard line where he's brought down by Gary Gleckner, number 61, downfield.
The Trojans got their field position the first time they had the ball with an excellent kickoff by, I'm not sure, was it Russell or was that Ross that ran that the first time around? It was either 24 or 28. This time it was Russell, and he managed to bring the ball out to about the 19-yard line. So Trojans take over, 1st and 10.
Troy comes out with Rick Ross split out wide to the left and a split on the other side. That's number 28, John Russell. Holly drops back to throw, looking for Gordon deep, and he's behind everyone. He takes the ball in at about the 40-yard line and is dropped by number 43, Rob Wisniewski, at the Canton Warrior 43. So the Trojans sparked their offense with a big pass play from Brian Holly to Mike Gordon.
Last week, Trojans against Athens were unable to really get anything on track. They were working with a new offensive group working together. It looks like their practice this week has helped, particularly in the passing game. They're getting wide open.
Warriors lead 7-6. Trojans on the move again. 1st and 10 from the Warrior 43. Holly back to pass again, looking for Rick Ross. And the ball is incomplete. The pass is incomplete. Defended on the play by Bill Cawley. He got the inside position on Ross and just kind of stayed there.
Yeah, had that ball had a little bit more on it, I think there might have been a touchdown there because Cawley, in trying to keep up with Ross, was having his hands full, just keeping step for him. And when he did turn back, he happened to see the ball and was able to reach and deflect it. So at this point, the Warriors have to start playing pass defense because they can't just anticipate that run coming at them because the Trojans have shown that they can throw the ball.
2nd down and 10 for the Trojans. Warrior 43-yard line is the placement of the ball. And Ross is split out wide to the left. On the snap, whistles blow. And we have a delay of game call against the Trojans. That'll back them up 5, and they'll try again on 2nd down and 15.
Well, the Trojans really are showing me something because last week they were unable to do a whole lot with the ball, and Holly was sacked a number of times. Here, his offensive line should be credited with giving him a lot of time. Not a lot of time, but enough time to get back there and set up and throw that ball. And with having Ross and Russell split out, have Russell 28 split out to this side, and Ross is, in the flanker spot on the right side.
2nd down and 15, and big pressure from Morgan and Butters. Holly's pass intended out there for number 89, Brian Watkins, but he couldn't get it there because of the heavy pass rush.
Yeah, they're really, they look like they're in a 2-minute drill now with every play being a pass. And so far they've had success with it, so it's well worth keeping the Warriors on their heels. until they adjust to and then they can come back again with a run. So the run sets up the pass, which they did the first series, and now the pass is going to help out the run. So we've got a third down and long, about
3rd
20.
and 15 about. Boyer hits Hawley just as he lets go of the ball. Hawley completes it to Mike Gordon. He stood in there and took a hard hit and completed the pass, but it's far short of the first down. It'll be 4th down and just slightly over 10 yards to go. And I assume we'll see the Trojans punt here, Tim. They're across midfield, but not very deep in Warrior territory.
Ryan Watkins is back to punt. He had his troubles last week against Athens. He had some very wobbly punts, and he had, I think, at least one that was blocked. So we'll see if he's been working on it this week. Back deep is Tim Ward.
Gets a good snap, and
They tried
Watkins
to go
gets a
after
pretty
the block.
good punt away. It's a tumbler that takes a sideways bounce, and it's going to be downed at the Canton Warrior 22.
Well, with the type of kick that he got a nice high kick, and he gave his coverage a chance to get down, to get around the ball. So Tim Ward had no opportunity. It wasn't near him. He didn't have a chance to catch it, but he would have had to fair catch it had he been in position. The roll worked out for the Warriors, though. Had it been a good bounce for Troy, they could have been close to the goal line, but it ends up being the 22-yard line. So it's 7-6 Warriors with just 31 seconds remaining in the first quarter in the Old Shoe Classic. Excuse me, Steve.
Thomason brings the Warriors up, and Tim Ward, the I-back, comes over to the right side. Butters takes a handoff behind Tim Ward's lead block and picks up about 5 on the play. It'll bring up 2nd down and 5 from the Warrior 27.
Tackles, we've got Watkins, Ross on that side. Andy Bulkley is in that area too. Now
And that's the end of the first quarter, with the Warriors leading 7-6 in the Old Shoe Classic. We'll be back with more Northern Tier football action right after this word.
Anytime you think we should go to one of those, you tap me. I'll just shut up so that. Well, he said he was going to work in like 3 commercials.
All right, to start the second quarter, Warriors on their own 27-yard line with a 2nd down and 5. Thomason has Cawley split out wide to the left. Handoff goes to Butters, and he is swarmed on by a host of Trojans, and Keith Spencer steals the ball away from him. Trojans come away with the ball. So on the first play of the second quarter, Keith Spencer steals the ball for the Trojans right out of Mike Butters' arms, and now we have some discussion among the officials.
Well, when the ball, the player never really had the right blocking, and the defense seemed to stand, Troy's defense seemed to stand Troy straight up and down, and so when Butters was tackled, they had Butters straight up and down, and as you said, Spencer stole the ball away, but they're talking about possibly the ball, we thought there was a fumble, but then again, it's possible the play had been blown dead. We don't know.
We have some real confusion on the field as the chains had even been moved to go the other direction. Now they have to be moved back. So apparently one official must have blown the whistle.
That can really hurt a team when they can really go sky high when they think they've had a turnover and the offense runs out onto the field, and then all of a sudden they realize that Canton still has the ball. So we've got a 3rd down and 5 for the Warriors. Everybody on the Canton side anyway breathes a sigh of relief.
Thomason brings the Warriors up now for a 3rd and 5. Just underway in the second quarter. Back to pass is Thomason, looking long for Bill Cawley, and he slips. Ball gets through his hands. Didn't quite get to it. He needed just a little more distance. Right as he turned, it looked like he lost his footing. Good defense played by Brian Hawley and by Russell, number 28 there.
They were both there. It looked as though had that ball been underthrown, it would have been intercepted. So Colley got, or rather, Tymason got a good throw off, but it was just a little bit high. I don't know whether maybe, like you said, he had to turn around. Colley had to turn around to try to make the reception, and it was a little bit out over his outstretched arms.
Back to punt for the Warriors is Larry Boyer, number 74. The big guard and tackle goes back to punt, and it was close to being blocked. We have a flag down on the play. It's fielded by Hawley back at his own 36. And we'll wait until the officials sort out this penalty here.
It was a beautiful punt by Boyer, considering the fact that it was such a high snap. It almost went over his head, and that could have spelled disaster for the Warriors there, but they managed to bring it down, and there was a hard rush. They were going for the block, but he managed to get it off.
And it looks like the penalty is against the Warriors. The officials are going to bring the ball back and back up the start for the snap, and the Warriors will obviously punt again. I think they want to make the punter Boyer have to handle that snap back there deep in Warrior territory again due to the conditions today.
Had some illegal motion on the Warriors, so it's 4th down again. Boyer back deep, and we have, let's see, Hawley and a real fumble by Boyer. Oh, he juggled the ball and managed to get it off. A beautiful job of managed to keep him from being stuck back there in deep.
Boyer got a low snap from the center that time and brought it up, scooped it up, and got a nice kickoff. Although he was under a lot of pressure.
He looked like he was handling a hot potato. That ball was just shifting. He was just trying to get control of it and managed to do so in time to manage to...
Good pressure provided by the Trojans, too.
It's almost like a side kick. He had to kick it sideways.
Troy has the ball. 1st and 10 on the 49-yard line of the Warriors. Ross is flanked to the right. Hawley moves down the left side of the line. Looked like he was trying to maybe get an option or a pass off, and swarmed under by Warriors. Dave Brees and Mike Butters coming from linebacker spots in to put the clamps on Hawley for a loss of about 5. It'll bring up 2nd down and 15 from back in Trojan territory.
Brees is the right defensive end, and Boyer the right tackle, and they just came right straight in there and were able to bring Hawley down.
Russell split out wide to the right. Ross is in the slot. Hawley back to pass again, and swarmed under by Stacy Brackman, number 82 for the Warriors. The Warrior defense taking a little bit of control now that they hadn't exerted earlier in the game.
Yes, the fact that they're going through there, not giving Hawley the opportunity to set up as he was able to do in the previous series, making a big difference as far as the timing for him to even think about throwing. Okay, we've got Russell out wide to the right here, near side. The slot is Ross.
We have a 3rd down and 17. Hawley with a handoff to Morgan White up the middle. White gains a little bit. Brought down by Butters, number 44, hanging onto his shirt, pulling him down. We're under 10 minutes to go in the first half, with the Warriors leading 7-6, and we have a 4th down and about 12 for the Trojans.
This is a good, tough old shoe game, the type of game you like to see. A lot of ebb and flow, spirits high.
Trojans ready to punt. Brian Watkins doing the kicking for Troy. Gets a nice snap, throws a pass on a fake punt. Good for 1st down yardage, but a flag is down. Let's see what happens with the penalty. Roger Feathers got downfield, caught a long pass from the punter, Brian Watkins, and a nicely thrown pass. Feathers is shaken up. Penalty goes. Penalty is still being discussed in the middle of the field.
Illegal, no, personal foul, I believe.
12 men on the field must be for the Warriors.
And so that's going to give Troy the ball in excellent field position.
The official indicates that the Trojans are declining the penalty, and that gives them a 1st down on the 31-yard line of the Warriors. Warrior defense, after a nice stand, caught napping on the punt
You've got to cover those people coming downfield or hit anybody that's out wide there, and he didn't do that, and he was open right over the middle.
Holly comes up to the line with a 1st and 10. He's got Morgan White at fullback, Keith Spencer tailback behind him. Holly back takes a few steps sideways and back to throw, and there's a flag down. It's going to be interference, and let's just see if it goes offensively or defensively, because
I'm quite sure it's going to have to be offensively, Steve, because Russell was pushing off on the defender over there. I think it was Tim Ward there.
It goes against Tim Ward, number 41 of the Warriors. So his indication is interference against the Warriors.
I'll be darned.
That'll give him 15 yards from the line of scrimmage and a 1st down. Apparently Ward interfering with the route Russell was trying to run.
That could be. Next time I'll wait for the official.
Editorialized a little too early there. 9:04 to go in the 1st quarter. Score remains Troy Trojans 6, Canton Warriors 7. But the Trojans on the move, and into the backfield now comes number 36 for Troy. That's Ron Wilston. Wilston leads the blocking. Keith Spencer takes the handoff and goes over the left side of the line, picks up a couple. In there on the stop, number 43, Rob Wisniewski.
So Troy has gotten some breaks here and made some of their own with a nice daring play on 4th down to go with that fake punt and a pass. And now with the pass interference, they've got the ball inside the 20. They're down at about the 14-yard line with a 2nd and 6.
Holly takes the snap, hands off to Keith Spencer, the tailback. Spencer works his way up to the line of scrimmage and gets a slight gain. Warriors shut him down at about the 12-yard line. That'll bring up a 3rd down and about 6 to go.
The Warriors have been tough against the run all year long. Pudish of Montrose was able to pick up quite a bit of yardage on them, but and same way with Tawanda Jennings from there, but they've been tough against the run. The pass has been a little bit of their weakness.
3rd down and 6 for the Trojans. Holly calling signals. Russell split out wide to the right. Holly's looking to pass to him, and Bill Skipper sacks him. Skipper in there to drop Holly for the loss.
Also Russ Morgan, number 34, the linebacker, also in there to help out, or the defensive end, I should say. The left defensive end for the Warriors.
And
so that was a big 3rd down play, so that's going to be a timeout called for Troy. So we'll return to the Old Shoe Classic after these words from our sponsors.
One thing we've been a little surprised about this afternoon, Tim, is I was talking about the passing attack of Canton and the rushing attack of Troy, and they seem to have swapped philosophies going into this game, as Holly's been looking to pass many times. He's had 2 very nice, actually 3 nice completions. I think one to Russell for the touchdown, a long one to Gordon, and I think another one in there. And the Warriors are the ones that have kept mainly to the ground. Only 1 pass, I believe, has been attempted by the Warriors thus far in the game.
Boy, one pass to Skipper, or to Colley rather, but was incomplete. So this brings up a 4th down situation for the Trojans, and they're setting up for a field goal with Keith Spencer.
If I were the Warriors, I think I'd watch the fake on this one too. But Spencer does have the distance to try a kick from here. Almost blocked by Ward, and the ball falls short. It was on line, but just short. I think Ward may have touched that, Tim.
It's very possible. He's had his body stretched right out in front of that ball, and as a result of that, if he had touched it at all, that might have made the difference between 3 points and not having it.
Yeah, he missed the field, yeah.
And because the field goal falls unsuccessful, ball comes back to the 20-yard line where the Warriors will take over. 1st and 10 with 7:53 to work yet in this first half. Warriors lead in the Old Shoe Classic, 7-6. And it's the kind of day that makes a classic football day. A little rainy, a little muddy. Players are dirty. Mike Butters takes the handoff over the right side of the line from Sean Tymason, his quarterback. And he's dropped there by number 67, Andy Bulkley.
Bulkley's an experienced player. He must, I think, probably be a senior. And the Warriors are making Butters their workhorse. I think he'd probably, maybe, I don't know how much running he's been doing since he hasn't been able to play, but he could be getting tired after this being his first start in quite a few games.
Warriors from the power I right. Tymason on a keeper. Tries to go around the left end. And number 80, Jim Shedden, did a nice job of playing off Tim Ward's block there.
Very hard-nosed tackle by Shedden. He really just held his ground there at the defensive end, shedded his blocker, and then slid off and hit Tymason as he came up to the inside. We've got a timeout called by the Warriors as Tymason comes to the sideline.
And while we have this timeout, Tim, let's pause for a word from our sponsors.
Timeout taken. They didn't get
Line after the unsuccessful field goal attempt by the Trojans. Ran a play, got it out to the about the 22-yard line, and then Tymason on a keeper around the left side picked up an additional yard. Warriors are out at about the 23 or 24 with the third down and 6. Tymason calls signals. Back to pass, and under a lot of pressure, and he's dropped on a sack effort is Andy Bulkley, assisted by Mike Gordon.
Yes.
Good pressure by the Trojans that time.
Tymason looked as though he would have the opportunity to get the ball off, but he, throughout the year, he's had a tendency to take a little longer to set up than
well, the coverage was pretty good on that play. He had a chance to look at two different receivers over here on the left side, and both of them were well covered. And then he had to bring the ball down because of the pressure, tried to step out and was caught. Boyer back to kick, handled a low snap before, gets a pretty good snap this time, but gets off a wobbler under a lot of pressure. And this punt hits at the 48 of Canton and rolls across midfield to about the 46 of Troy, where it's down by Dave Brees, number 10, the snapper.
Well, I would say that so far in this game that we've had Troy with the best field position throughout the game. The Warriors have, like the opening kickoff was run out to the 48-yard line on the opening kickoff for the Trojans. That gave them, and that drive went for a touchdown. And the Warriors started off on their first position on their 20, and so far they've been kind of back in their end of the field most of the time, except for their touchdown drive.
First and 10 for the Trojans from their own 46. Hawley back to throw, has good protection, looks long for Gordon.
Beautiful catch.
And he makes a diving catch at the Warrior 28-yard line.
The pass coverage back there deep. They're not picking up Gordon coming out over the middle there.
That's two times he's run that deep pattern and gotten behind everybody.
Ordinarily, the halfbacks have the two wide men on the field, and then it's up to the linebacker to pick up the second man out. And they're having a lot of trouble with picking up him, third man coming across the middle there.
First and 10. Troy Trojans in Warrior territory. Handoff goes to Morgan White, left side of the line, and he's brought down by number 75, Cal Phillips.
And 44,
after a short
Mike
game.
Butters. 2:14 remaining in the first half. No, 5:10 remaining in the first half, and we've got, let's see, a second down and 8. I'm hearing in the background, I'm listening to some of the other fellows up here in the booth, and I heard him say 2:14, and it was 5 something. So we're down to just under 5 minutes left in the first half.
Trojans driving in Warrior territory at about the 27-yard line. Second down and 8. Hawley back to throw for Russell, and Brett Bentley with picture-perfect defensive coverage. Stuck right with Russell, and in fact, Russell appeared to be open for a moment. Hawley threw the pass, which was well thrown, but Bentley just cut in there and tipped it away at the last moment.
Well, it's, again, you have to give the Trojans credit because they've come out passing now, and with the exception of that last, I think, 2 drives ago where the Warriors were able to get in and put pressure on Holly, he's having time to throw the ball. I think what they did on the couple times that they did stop him, they blitzed one of their linebackers, and I think maybe that's why now we're getting hurt a little bit. If you blitz a linebacker, you're giving up someone in coverage because there's less opportunity to cover your receivers because you got a man in the opponent's backfield. We've got a timeout again, so we'll be back in a moment after this word from our sponsor.
Maybe you're right, but I thought somebody told me it was a 3:30 kickoff. I haven't checked.
Some of the fans taking in the action at today's Old Shoe game in the damp, wet weather, which so far has not seen any current rain since the opening kickoff of the game, although we had rain all morning. The rain's let up in time for the game to start. But the field is pretty wet. But it appears only to be wet and not really too muddy and slimy.
Whoa. Okay, Troy on a third and 8 play crossed up the Canton defense and they jumped off sides. That gives...
Warriors have had a little problem with that this season, and it appears like Troy took advantage of a long snap count to shorten up their third down yardage a little bit.
We had about 4 guys all jump at the same time, so I don't know whether they've been going on one particular count or voice inflection because they all jumped at the same time. So it's third and about a long 3.
Holly calls signals with White and Spencer in the backfield. Handoff goes to Spencer, lead blocking by Wilston, number 36. And Spencer is dropped for a yard loss.
Tim Ward knifing through there from his linebacker spot, did a nice job, angle tackled Spencer and dropped him. So it's going to bring down a fourth down and about 5 yards. The ball is laying on about the 24-yard line.
We saw the Trojans try a field goal from roughly this far out a little while earlier. And the wind, if you're wondering about the wind, is kind of blowing across the field this afternoon.
Yeah, towards us. I remember it.
Actually coming in the front of our box here atop the bleachers. So they don't really have a tailwind to kick with or a headwind to kick into. It's a crossing wind.
Well, with this timeout, let's go back to the station for a word from our sponsors.
Another field goal, guys.
He's getting his kick into one. See that? Yeah. Cleveland. That'll be a 40-yarder. Yeah, it will definitely be a 40-yarder.
4:24 to go in the first half, and the Troy Trojans are setting up for what will be about a 38-yard field goal attempt by Keith Spencer. The spot of the ball will be at the 28-yard line. Holly is the holder.
Remember, Holly's the kicker, the holder, so he could be...
Spencer has the kick up, and it's wide to the right. Looked like it might have been long enough, but wide to the right. So the Trojans miss on another field goal attempt, and the ball will come out to the 20-yard line following the touchback, where the Warriors will take over 1st and 10 with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half.
With Spencer showing us that he can kick the ball from that distance, should the game stay close like this and the Trojans get a ball down close late in the game, they could kick a field goal easily.
Tyneson takes the snap, throws out wide on a swing pattern to Tim Ward. He picks up about 4 or 5 and is taken down by Mike Gordon.
So that's the first pass completion, I believe, for the Warriors today. A little short swing pass out in the left flat to Tim Ward, and he picks up about 4 yards. It's not a big gain, but at least it's got to give Tyneson a little confidence as far as he's completed one. Now let's keep the ball going.
Warriors going from the double tight end formation with the power I backfield behind him. Tyneson throws wide to Ward on the other side of the field this time. Ball skips through his hands, and that incompletion will stop the clock with 3:41 to go in the first half and bring up a 3rd down and 6.
Well, the Warriors are going to have to pick up a 1st down on this play. Otherwise, they're going to have to punt because they're back far in their end of the field. They're not going to be able to risk a fourth down call unless they really pick up all but first down on this play. Tight end.
Tyneson calls signals, hands to Butters over the right side, and he picked up pretty good yardage, but he's short of the first down. Picked up about 3 or 4, but that leaves him about 2 yards shy of the first down, and it'll bring up 4th down and 2, and a punting situation for the Warriors. So with time to go in the first half here, the Warriors are going to give the ball back to the Trojans.
Well, this punt snap has been, we've got Dave Brees in there. He snaps for the punt. This has been an adventure so far this morning, or this afternoon, we should say. We'll see what happens on this punt. Nice punt.
Larry Warriors punt.
Line drive punt. Fielded and blistered by Tim Ward. He hit, oh boy, he just blistered it right about on the numbers and knocked him right smack back down on his rear.
Ross fielding the ball without a fair catch, and I think with good reason he had a blocker in front of him there. But Russell missing, didn't set up in time to get the block on Tim Ward. Apparently he may have thought that Ross was calling for a fair catch because he didn't set up for the block, and Ward came right through and nailed Ross upon his receiving the ball. 1st and 10, Trojans. Hawley on a pitch to Spencer. Spencer goes wide around the left side of the line. Early tackle missed by Boyer, and Spencer's finally taken down by Dave Brees, the defensive end, and Tim Ward,
Boy,
the outside linebacker.
Last week, Steve, the game that we went over to see the Troy Athens game, Spencer went, what was it, like 92 yards or something like that? 94.
Yeah, he had a big run.
A great big run on just that type of pitch, and cut back up the middle and went all the way.
Hawley takes the snap on 2nd down and 7.
Fumble.
Ball is fumbled, and Cawley recovers.
Cawley recovers the fumble for the Trojans, or for the Warriors. So the Warriors have gotten a break, and now we'll have the ball with 2:03 remaining in the game, and they have the opportunity to see if they can maybe add some insurance points.
Placement of the ball is just about the 50-yard line. Call it the Warrior 49. It's a little bit on the Warrior end of the field. And Warriors get another crack at it here in the first half, unexpectedly.
This is their best
on the
field
turnover.
position on the turnover of the ball.
Ends Cawley and Brackman switch positions after coming up to the line. In motion is Rob Wisniewski. Pitch goes to Mike Butters around the right side. He breaks around the left end, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. No flags are down. That will stand.
With about 52 yards, I think, Steve, because that was right from where the ball,
about a 51 yard.
51-yard
touchdown run by Mike Butters.
I think that's the first time they went to that formation where they put Wisniewski in motion, and he was out there as a lead block, and they sealed off for him nicely. He looked like he was going to go off tackle and then juke to the outside, and once he got by that corner, there was no one to stop him there. He was able to outrun everybody because no one had really the angle. They were up too close to the line. So we've got 1:30 left in the game.
And the Warriors have a little trouble getting people on the field again for their conversion, and they have to call timeout again to get proper personnel out there. While we wait for the point after the touchdown, we'll pause for a word from our sponsors.
65, he said we had some banks and losses yesterday.
Hi, Bam Bam, did you see that? Sixers eye.
I don't know, we'll check this quickly. By Steve Komareski.
I was gonna get, I had $1.
We have 1:30 to go in the first half of the Old Shoe game, with the Canton Warriors leading 13-6 with an upcoming attempt for the point after touchdown, which just came via the feet of Mike Butters, running 51 yards with a sweep around the left side. He went all the way, took it in, got some nice blocking from his fellow backfield men, and took it all the way down for the touchdown. And now to attempt the point after is Scott May, number 20 for the Warriors.
Tymeson holding.
Snap is high. Tymeson has to come up, throws, and it goes through Tim Ward's hands. And the score will stand at 13-6. with 1:30 to play in the first half.
Well, that was the break there that Warriors had made for a turnover, which resulted in a touchdown. And so that's what you have to do, is take advantage of the breaks you can get. So the Warriors will be kicking off with 1:30 remaining in the game, in the first half, I should say, to the Trojans. Well, the score 13-6. So it's just a touchdown difference here, so it's anyone's game yet. The whole half to play and still 1:30 in this half.
Kicker for the Warriors is Scott May, number 20, back deep to receive. Ross and Russell for the Trojans. Kick is a tumbler, which Ross fields on one knee, and he will be down where he fielded it. He just barely touched his knee, but that's all it takes, and so he's judged down there by the officials.
Well, that line drive type of a kick is difficult to field, but even if you have to drop down, as you said earlier, Steve, drop down to one knee, you're better off possibly to do that than, well, I don't know. That was awful close to the end zone.
Well,
Had they
but
let it go, it probably would have gone into the end zone.
You
but
can't
never
count
know.
on that, and
Ricochet
especially on a
balls.
wet field. The ball does not roll as far. It'll die and slide. So I think he did the wise thing by fielding it the best way he could.
Got the ball where? About the 10-yard line or 15?
Around the 13, 14, close to the 15. Handoff to Morgan White up the middle. And White carries for a couple of yards, or maybe a yard.
We'll have to see whether
With a minute to go, it'll be 2nd and 9.
with the Trojans in this deep end of the field, whether they'll be content to maybe just kind of run the clock down, or whether they might explode and try to go for a long pass.
Well, in the first quarter, when they were backed up on a 3rd down and long from the
Guess what? They've got
49-yard line, they
they've got
threw
their
long.
3 people out wide, or their slot back and split end.
Receivers wide to the left. Fumble, and the Warriors come away from the ball. Holly moved down the line to hand off, and the Warriors have the ball back with 35 seconds to go, and they're on the 18-yard line of the Trojans. However, they're a little short on timeouts because of using timeouts on the conversion attempts after the touchdown.
Mike Butters was the one who recovered the fumble, so he scored a couple of touchdowns and had a fumble recovery. So here we go with 24 seconds left in the first half.
Back to throw is Tymason, looking long, and the ball comes away in the hands of Hawley. I think he intercepted it. Yes, he did. Looked like a clean catch and made a nice diving catch. Brian Hawley comes away. It's Troy's ball.
Back with 16 seconds to go.
By Hawley?
Well, we had mentioned turnovers, and turnovers we've had.
Costly turnovers in some cases. Here was the opportunity for Canton to maybe dig a little hole for the Trojans, but nice play by Hawley on defense.
And Hawley earned that one. He stepped right in front with nice timing and dove, made a great catch of it. Trojans have wide receivers out to the left, twin wide receivers. Time runs out before they can get a play off. And the first half ends with the Canton Warriors leading 13-6 over the Troy Trojans. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. As the Troy band takes the field, Tim, to give us their version of the halftime show. A few comments I have on the first half. The Warriors have certainly been led strongly by Mike Butters back after an injury. I don't believe we even listed him in the starting lineup prior to the game, and he's been the major force for the Warriors. Had a 51-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. In the first quarter, he had a 4-yard touchdown run. He's picked up a lot of other yardage on the ground. And the passing of Brian Hawley has kept the Trojans in the game, as he's thrown for good yardage on about 5 completions in the first half, especially in the first quarter, a 49-yard touchdown pass to John Russell from Brian Hawley, which started the scoring for the afternoon. So we have a nice, closely contested game with the Warriors leading 13-6 that we're enjoying here this afternoon.
I think you'd have to say that we've got the type of game that everybody likes to see played. It's a good hard, we've had some real hard hitting, some fancy plays where Troy on 4th down faked the punt and threw a long pass play over the middle, which gave them a 1st down and allowed them to continue a drive. The Warriors have had a good ground game, very limited passing. I would think that now that it's halftime, that the Trojans are somehow or other going to try to work on stopping, maybe keying on Butters for the second half to try to shut down the run game of the Warriors. And as far as Kent, they've definitely got to go in and decide who's supposed to be covering who on some of those passes.
They've especially had trouble picking up Mike Gordon coming out from the tight end
86,
spot.
right? He's been open and been behind everyone. It's not even as though there's a man with him. So it's important that they make that adjustment. And I somehow or other think that probably was made during the week. They talked about that particular thing, but somebody's just not covering correctly.
And we've had a number of turnovers in the first half, fumbles on the part of both teams, and an interception by the Troy Trojans, which have also helped to keep this game a close contest. Teams moving and stymied by a turnover. Also, let's not forget that the Troy Trojans were in range to try 2 field goals, which fell a little shy of the mark. If they had made those 2 field goals, we would now have a 13-12 ball game. So we have quite a nice contest for the Old Shoe Classic here this afternoon. And I think now we'll let you enjoy a little bit of the Troy Trojan Band halftime show. Troy Trojan Band leaving the field, and now coming onto the field at the far end are the Canton Marching Warriors under the direction of James Dogert, and band front directed by Susan Spencer. And I'd like to take this moment to remind you that this evening's cablecast is being brought to you by the First National Bank of Canton for Cash Stream, Wheeler's Restaurant with delicious meals and friendly service, Joe's Sports Center for Action Suzuki four-wheelers, the Troy Autoport Store, your Napa dealer, Kay and Sue's Restaurant, the best coffee in town, the Canton Telephone Company for call waiting, the Canton Pharmacy, your complete prescription center, Calkins Motor Sales for Ram Tough Dodge trucks, the First Bank of Troy, now with Troy Teller, Morrison Seeger, Philco, Quasar, and King Coil, the Shawley Agency, your independent agent, Armenia Mountain Trading Post for comfortable shoes, Eastern Milk Producers, dairy stores in Canton and in Troy, Canton Card and Gift Shop for American greeting cards, 14 Appliance and TV Center, RCA and Panasonic in Troy and Canton, Baldwin's Hardware, Service Star quality with friendly service, Cards Furniture, 300 Lazy Boys in stock, C&B Sporting Goods, everything for the hunter, Guston's Jewelry, custom workmanship at affordable prices, and the D&H Keystone Market with meats, produce, and the Pennsylvania Lottery. Please remember to patronize our sponsors and tell them you heard their ad here on Channel 10. Now we enjoy the halftime performance by the Canton Area High School Marching Warriors. We'll be back with second half action in the Old Shoe Classic right after these words. But so far, after one half of play, the Warriors lead 13-6. And Tim, you have some stats for us before we get into the second half action.
All right, we've got some unofficial halftime stats for you. For first downs, Canton had 4 and Troy 5. Rushing, Canton had 121 yards, Troy 11. In passing, Canton had 4 yards passing. They were 1 of 4 and 1 interception for Sean Tymason. For the Trojans, they had 139 yards passing. They were Holly was 5 out of 8, no interceptions. So it gives a total yards of 150 yards for Troy, 125 yards for Canton in the first half. Very close that way, and also close in the score. No interceptions, or I'm sorry, no fumbles in the first half for Canton. 2 for Troy, and both were recovered by Canton. 2 punts for the Warriors for a total of an average of 33 yards, and 1 for Troy, average of 24 yards. And now we're ready for the kickoff.
Keith Spencer kicks off for the Trojans. It's a bouncer fielded by Tim Ward. Deep in his own territory, gets a little running room on the right side, and Ward gets the ball out to almost the 30-yard line for the Warriors.
And to finish up with our halftime stats, finally penalties. Canton was penalized twice for a total of 20 yards, and Troy 3 for 35.
So we're right in the thick of things after 2 quarters of play. Warriors lead 13-6, and it's anybody's ball game yet, Tim.
Yepper, it's good, clean, hard-fought contest, and hopefully we'll have another 24 minutes this half that will be just as exciting.
Steve Williams and Tim Fyak here bringing you this action on cable channel 10. First and 10 for the Warriors from their own 30-yard line. Butters on the carry, takes the handoff from Tymason and gets out to about the 35-yard line, bring up second down and 5.
Well, the Warriors opening up the second half are going right back to their bread and butters play, with Butters carrying the ball up either off tackle or up the middle, but they got good yardage on that, so they're going to keep going with their running game. Second and 5.
Just underway in the second half, and Rob Wisniewski goes in motion. The pitch goes back to Mike Butters, and he carries around the left end, following the block of Wisniewski, who went in motion, and he's up close to first down yardage. Looks like he's going to bring up a third down and about 2 for the Warriors.
Okay, we had Hawley from his safety spot came up to help out on the tackle there. So this will be a good third down play where either the Warriors could run or pass. They've been doing pretty well on the ground, so we'll have to see what they like to do. 2 tight ends this time.
Warriors line up in that eye, and then the eye back, Tim Ward, moves to one side or the other. Moves to the left. Butters takes the handoff and breaks through a nice opening, blocking on the right side by
Larry Boyer and Steve Skipper. Bill Skipper, excuse me. They really opened up a hole right there at the point of attack, and instead of sometimes that happens when you think of a short yardage situation, they're looking just for short penetration by the offense, but if they can burst that little hole and the back gets a good head of steam, he can go for good yardage and could have gone all the way.
So
First and 10.
Warriors moving the ball via the rushing attack. First and 10 on their own 46-yard line. Tymason hands to Butters over the left side of the line. Butters picks up about 4 on the carry. Gets the ball right to midfield.
Pretty
and
good
in there
yardage.
on the stop, Morgan White once again.
One thing I was worried about this game, Steve, was that with all the rain we'd had, that it was going to be pouring raining and that there was going to be nothing but a sea of mud. But the field is in good position. The wind's been blowing and it's dried out even more. And so I don't think we have to worry about not being able to tell who's who.
Second down and 6 for the Warriors. Tymason puts Colley out wide to the left. Ward shifts to the left side of the backfield, takes a pitch going around the right side, follows the lead block of Craig Rout, number 62, pulling guard, and picks up maybe 2 or 3 on the play. Hard fought yards.
Morgan White on the tackle, assisted by Holly. He was there to make sure that Ward was brought down.
And
Ward's a hard runner. He
coming all the way from the tackle on the other side was Brian Rathbun.
All right.
Darren Rathbun, number 56 for the Trojans.
That's good.
Really
pursuit.
moving down that line, showing good pursuit. Third down and 4 for the Warriors. Fumble, handoff is fumbled into line, bouncing around. And I think Troy has it. The last shirt I saw go on top was a white one. Let's see who got it
No
underneath.
signal yet. The Troy
Ball.
Trojans have recovered.
There's the signal from the officials. Butters fumble, recovered. Actually, he never really got the handoff. It didn't come away cleanly between Thomason and Butters. And recovered. Did you see who made the recovery there, Tim?
No, I wasn't able to pick it out.
Couldn't see which one it was, but the Trojans recover at their own 43-yard line. Stacy Brackman, the middle linebacker, calls the defensive signals for the Warriors and lines them up. There's 6-man front. Excuse me, Brackman's at a guard. And the Trojans now 1st and 10. Hawley having a little trouble with the slap. Tries an option around the right side, and he's cut down by Tim Ward, linebacker.
Well, that play was strung out and brought down for no gain, or maybe a half a foot. So good defense by the Warriors. As we said, Troy had 4 yards on the ground rushing in the first half, and they didn't improve that average at all with that particular play. But now they've got men split out wide. They've got Russell and Ross split out here to the near side of the field. Ross in the slot.
2nd down and 9. Handoff up the middle to White. Tackled by Bill Skipper. And in there trying to hawk the ball away was Cal Phillips. White wouldn't have anything of it.
With them splitting, with Troy splitting the split end out wide and then having that man in the slot, you've got to bring at least 2 people out here to cover them, and that opens up that middle a little bit.
3rd and 7 Trojans. Split wide to the left is John Russell. Rick Ross in the slot. Running backs are White and Spencer. Spencer takes a quick pitch, and he's hauled down by Stacy Brackman coming from the guard spot on the
Reese
defense.
Also in there. Nice job by Reed by the defensive end. He just, or no, I'm sorry, from his guard spot. I'm used to him being in a linebacker. He's in the middle there. Good pursuit and brought him down for a loss. Okay, that brings up a 4th down and about 10. Watkins is back deep to punt, and back deep to receive are Tim Ward, number 41, and 11, Bill Colley.
High snap is Watkins handles it well. Dangerous punt bouncing. Colley fields it with people right on him and comes out from a couple of tackles to pick up 5 yards on the return, brings it back to the 30-yard line of the Warriors.
Number 33 there, Feathers, appears to be ankle a little sore. Something came up hobbling.
Well, no, he was hurt. He had a long reception on the fake punt early in the first half, and he came away hobbling from that. And I think he's still a little shaken up from it.
Well, the Trojans on defense now. Warriors have the ball on their 30-yard line, 1st and 10. 6:05 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Bill Colley splits out to the left. The Warriors backfield goes to the right. Tim Ward carrying, and the first hit in there by Keith Spencer, a hard one, but Ward shook it off, picked up another couple of yards till Morgan White and Rick Ross brought him down.
Good hard defense, really hard shots put on by the defensive secondary. Tim Ward, as we mentioned before, he's not very big. He's particularly in wrestling season, he's not very big. He's ballooned up to 150 pounds, and he's really got a lot of heart. So he really sticks his nose in there. Good second effort.
2nd down and 6 for the Warriors. Colley splits out to the left.
Counter play.
Ward carries. Picks up, he's a little shy of the 1st down. He'll bring up a 3rd down and about a half a yard. Tim, when we think the kind of defense we're seeing today is the kind of defense that you quite often see from Canton-Troy teams, it's a little surprising that both of them have given up quite a few more points this year than those high schools normally do. Canton giving up over 200 points already, and Troy over 150.
So 29 touchdowns coming to this game. The Warriors have given up
On third down and short, Dan Wisniewski carries over the right tackle, and behind him blocking a big Bill Skipper, he picks up the first down, so the Warriors are on the move.
Early on in the year, the Warriors were having trouble trying to establish anything on the ground. They did some juggling around with their offensive line and put Skipper and Boyer on that right side, and they've really done a job there. When we need crucial yardage, that's usually where they go, and the defense should know that, but yet they're still able to pick it up.
Thomason takes the snap. On a keeper, goes around behind the blocking of Butters, and is knocked out of bounds by Morgan White.
Preliminary procedure is illegal procedure, or signal rather, is illegal procedure by the official.
So we're down to the 4:20 mark in the third quarter. And the Warriors lead 13-6 while the officials straighten this out.
So
Well,
far
let's pause for a minute for a word from our sponsors.
We got her, Jimmy.
So far in this second half, we've had kind of a sloppy football game. Nobody's really been able to establish any real ground game or passing game with any consistency. It's been turnovers and penalties have hurt any drives that have been attempted thus far.
And the Warriors now have a 1st and 15 due to the penalty from their own 36-yard line. Thomason's back to throw, throws long for Cawley, and a nice defensive play by Rick Ross. Knocks the ball down as it was headed right for the hands of Cawley.
Thomason's ball hung up there and gave Ross the opportunity to get back there in position, jump up, and bat it down out of the way. If the ball maybe a little shorter pass, or if Thomason could have got a little bit more zip on it, definitely Cawley was open. He was behind the defender.
2nd down and 15. Cawley splits out wide to the right. Ward is set on the right side of the backfield. Thomason pumps once, then throws for Tim Ward out near the 50-yard line. Ball goes a little far out of his reach, and we have another incompletion, so it'll bring up 3rd down and 15.
It appears as though, I don't know, it seems as though the play is a little slow developing, and it's giving the defense an opportunity to pick up the flight of the ball and get to wherever it is. I think a little shorter, crisp type of ball would be more the play that would gain the yardage needed. But here now we're in 3rd and long, so now they've got to go for that bundle all at once.
Thomason comes up behind center, Jack Steiner. He's got Cawley out wide to the right. Thomason looking for Cawley, plants his foot, slips, sets up again, and Cawley is behind 2 defensive men. And Cawley came down with the catch, but his foot was out of bounds, apparently. Nice catch, but out of bounds.
Boy, that was a close call, but the official was right there to see it. It was a nice catch. He had beaten the defense, and the ball was thrown right to him, but it would have been a big gainer.
Now, Ross was a little behind Cawley, but he kept him to the outside wisely, using that sideline to help him defend on that play, and it worked out to his advantage. 4th down and 15 for the Warriors, so Larry Boyer is back to punt.
Good snap.
Boyer takes the snap and gets off a high wobbler, which takes a Canton bounce, and it's fielded by Rick Ross, and he's dropped by Brees, number 10, at his own 35-yard line.
Assisting there were Ward and Dan Wisniewski. They didn't give him a chance to even move once that ball hit the ground and ricocheted up into his chest. That was a dangerous ball to try to pick up on the punt, but he had good solid hands, kept it, and so Troy will have the ball on the 35, their own 35, 1st and 10, with 3:43 remaining in the 3rd quarter. It's 13-6 in favor of the Canton Warriors in the Old Shoe Classic.
Flanked out to the left side is Rick Ross. He goes on a counter play, takes the handoff from Hawley, and picks up about 7 yards, even though he and Hawley collided in the backfield. Ross able to avoid the pursuit and get out around the right side for a nice pickup.
Kind of a counter play. Like you said, they didn't exactly have a clean mesh when they handed it off, but still the play worked for 7 yards when finally Bob Wisniewski, number 43 for the Warrior defense, brought him down. So it's going to be 2nd and a short, 3 yards.
Holly calling signals. He's got a power I backfield behind him this time, and he hands off to Keith Spencer, follows the blocks of the other two, and he runs right into Bill Skipper, who won't let him get anywhere.
It didn't appear as though the offensive line was able to get the any penetration, and as a result, the defense stood him up, and Spencer had no place to run, so he lost a little bit of yardage there. So it brings up a third down call, 3rd and about 4.
And Tim, I'd say we had some defensive adjustments made on both sides in the locker room during the halftime, because the offenses were moving quite briskly in the first half. The second half, neither one can get untracked very much here. We've got a 3rd and 4 for the Trojans. Both ends in tight. Power I backfield behind Holly. He fakes a handoff to Spencer, throws long
Wide
for
open.
Jim Shedden, who's
Nice
wide open,
catch.
and made a diving catch. A super reception by Jim Shedden. Left his feet, flew through the air, and came down with the catch. We've got a flag down near the middle of the field where there was a collision by Brian Watkins and one of the defenders, and I don't know which way the interference is going to go here.
Well, they just pointed towards Troy. One official did, but we'll have to wait and see. It was a beautiful catch by Shedden. He just leaped up in the air and just kind of hung there as that ball came down, took it in, and made the catch, number 80.
You won't see a better catch than that at any level of football, really.
No.
Nice catch. But the penalty apparently is going to go against the Trojans. It's offensive interference, a collision by Brian Watkins and one of the Canton linebackers in the middle of the field. Judged offensive pass interference, and that's a loss of down, and they back it up.
Well, that's a break for the Warriors, because Troy looked like they were just starting to build a little bit of momentum. So that's going to make it a 4th and long, so they're going to have to punt, although they are calling a timeout. So how about if we take this time from the Old Shoe Classic to break and have a word from our sponsors.
We are enjoying NTL football action between the Troy Trojans, whose record on the season is 4-4-1, and the Canton Warriors, who are 3-6 overall. Is that right, Tim?
Yes.
And score stands at 13-6 in favor of the Trojans, or excuse me, in favor of the Warriors, with 2:12 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Oh, look, we're getting some video over video where Mr. Streeter is
The technical side of the Old Shoe Classic.
getting his camera on a monitor up there.
And back to punt is Brian Watkins on a 4th
high
down and
snap.
19. Fields a high snap,
Uh-oh.
comes down with a short wobbly
Penalty.
kick, but Watkins was run into, and that's going to be an automatic 1st down if the penalty is roughing the kicker, which I'm sure it will be.
Dave Brees was going in there deep trying to block it because of the high snap. He did a nice job of fielding that high snap and then getting the ball off, and Brees was unable to touch it. So because of the collision, we'll wait and see, but it should be yes. The Warriors
Now-
are having the penalty marked off for roughing the kicker against them, and we'll see whether that brings an automatic 1st down.
If the snap had been on the ground and fielded, or if he had jumped up, tapped the ball to the ground, and then fielded it, he would have lost his protection as a punter. But since he did field the ball in the air and it never did hit the ground, he is still protected, and he may not be hit, and that's roughing the kicker. So Trojans have a 1st and 10 at their own 40-yard line. Holly takes the snap, drops the pass under a lot of pressure. Boyer sacks him.
Boyer and Brackman, number 82, were right in there along with Butters, who was giving some pressure as middle linebacker. For
Big
the
loss
Warriors.
for the Trojans. That's going to bring up a 2nd down and almost 20.
So the penalties here have played a big part in the second half, giving each team opportunities to pick up another 1st down when they seemed as though they were in dire straits. But now here, after a big 1st down, after a penalty on roughing the kicker, now we've had a drop, or the defensive drop Troy for a big loss. So it brings up 2nd and 20 for the Trojans, and they're back on about their 32-yard line.
Hawley calls signals. He's got Rick Ross split out to the left. Hawley takes a short drop to pass, and middle linebacker Butters corrals him quickly. Trojans quite often use that short drop back, Tim, and under the pass rush of the Warriors, it doesn't seem to be giving Hawley enough time to set up and throw there.
All right, that's, I think, probably something that at halftime they decided that they were going to have to keep him from having the time to throw those long passes that he threw in the first half. All right, so we've got Russell and Ross split out to the near side here. with
Time running down in the
Ross
third
in the
period.
slot.
And Hawley takes the snap, hands to Morgan White over the right side of the line. He runs into a wall of Canton Warriors. And off the bottom of the pile, making the stop, comes Russ Morgan, 34, and Mike Butters, 44.
So the Trojans, I think, for them to score in this half, they're either going to have to take advantage of the turnovers that they may create, or the Canton may give them, or they're going to have to go through the air because they don't seem to be able to move on the ground. Watkins back to punt. High snap
High
again.
snap
but he fields
again.
it.
Watkins fields it under a big rush, but this time comes away untouched. The ball bounces. Cawley tries to field it. Goes through his hands, and the Trojans recover.
Dangerous attempt to field that punt by both boys because of the low tumbling kind of snap that was kind of a line drive, but both of them made the attempt. And after touching it, Troy
recovers on the 35-yard line, and that play will end the third quarter. We'll be back for the fourth quarter of the Old Shoe game right after these words.
The winner is Rick Calkins. Rick Calkins. Not Rick Calkins. Who is that guy? Dick Calkins. Not correction. Dick Calkins. Who is that guy down there?
So to start the fourth quarter of the Old Shoe game back here at the Canton High School football field, the Warriors will be defending with a first down and 10 for the Trojans on the Warrior 35 following the muffed attempt to return the punt.
Well, this may be the turnover that we were just talking about a minute ago that the Trojans are looking for to get back into this game. First and 10,
Hawley bumps into a blocker, backing up the pass under a lot of pressure, throws for Rick Ross, and the ball goes through Cawley's hands, close to an interception, but couldn't come away with the catch.
One thing, Steve, the footing doesn't seem to be the best in that part of the field. It seems as though as the defenders and the receiver are making their cuts and trying to defend, that they're kind of sliding along, so it's got to be a little bit slippery out there. Ross and Russell split out wide to the left.
Going over to defend are Brees and Bentley on that side. Hawley moves down the line, gives on a handoff to Morgan White over the left side, and he rolls for almost a first down, down to the 25-yard, almost the 25-yard line.
Morgan's a tough runner. It's going to give him third, and I don't know whether they're going to measure. No. Third and very, very short, maybe 6 inches for the first down. So the Warriors have to either come up with a big defensive play to force a fourth down situation, force a fourth down, or they're going to have a first and 10.
Power eye backfield for the Trojans. Double tight ends. The handoff goes to Spencer over the left side. He has the first down easily. And the Trojans are on the move, deep in Warrior territory. They've got the ball down to the 24-yard line.
Well, the Warrior defense has been tough against the run, but on the next to last play there with Morgan White going off that left tackle, he picked up good yardage.
And the fans are starting to come alive here at the Canton High Field, getting back into the game a little bit. Twin receivers out wide to the right for the Trojans. Hawley moves down the line, runs an option, pitches to Keith Spencer, who is corralled by Rusty Morgan, number 34. And then Bill Skipper finishes off the tackle, but Spencer picks up a few yards on the play.
Close to 5 yards. In fact, I believe it is 5. So good yardage, but that also could have turned into a real big play had Watkins not, or Rusty Morgan not gotten him by the ankle there and hung on until Skipper was able to come up and finish him off.
Russell and Ross go wide to the left. Ross in the slot. Russell is the split end. Tight end on the near side is Mike Gordon, number 86. Keith Spencer, the tailback. Hawley gives on the first to the first man through on the handoff. Goes to Morgan White. And White gets a hard-fought yard, maybe. That'll bring up about a 3rd down and 4.
3rd and 4. So this is 4-down yardage right here for the Trojans. They're inside the 20, so they're going to be going for that first down on 4th down. So it's 2 opportunities to try to pick this first down up. Warriors are going to have to play good defense, or else they're liable to be in a tie game here.
Third down and 4. Hawley calls signals. 9:34 to go in the 4th quarter. Quick handoff to Morgan White, who bursts through, breaks a tackle, and bursts through. Had he not lost his balance, he'd have been in for the score. He takes the ball down to the 10-yard line, and it looks like it'll be
First
just
down.
outside the 10, so I think they will be able to get a first down here.
Officials timeout.
While the officials get the chains set, we'll pause for a word from our fine sponsors. The 1st and 10 for the Troy Trojans from the 10.5-yard line of the Canton Warriors. They can get a first down right near the goal line. Power I backfield behind quarterback Brian Hawley. The Warriors jump off sides, and that's an easy 5 for the Trojans.
That's the second time today, or this evening rather, that we've had the Warriors jump in a crucial situation.
I think the Trojans have their number on that, and they just use it whenever they feel the situation calls for it.
Right.
Now it's first down and 5 yards to go for a first down. If they pick up the first down, they'll be right about the 1-yard line or a little closer.
We're just under the 9-minute mark in the 4th quarter, so there's 9 minutes to play. Here we go.
Trojans backing the Warriors down there. Handoff goes to Keith Spencer over the left side of the line, and he's stacked up there. Bill Skipper in on the bottom of the stack.
2nd down. The Trojans haven't thrown a pass in this drive, and so that's always a potential possibility. We could have a fake to one of these backs into the line and throw to one of the wideouts on a slanted or something, and could pick up that crucial touchdown, which would then bring the game to within a point of being tied.
8:15 to go in the game. Trojans on the 4-yard line of the Warriors. Handoff to Morgan White, and he's in for the score. Morgan White goes over the right guard, carries it 4 yards for the touchdown.
Now there we had the Trojans coming back with some of the same type of drive that the Warriors have been using against them. Just kind of a straight ahead blocking, keeping their fullback moving right up the middle. The Warriors have been doing it with Butters, their tailback, but it's basically the same type of play, either up the gut or off tackle, and that play went right up the middle. Morgan White in for the score. And that's with 8:05 remaining in the 4th quarter. Score is now Canton Warriors 13 and the Troy Trojans 12. Whether or not they'll go for the extra point or 2-point conversion, we don't know at this point, so we'll have to.
Tim, you have to go back to that, the big play of this drive was the 4th down when the Warriors had the Trojans all backed up. The roughing the kicker penalty gave the Trojans a 1st and 10 and made this whole drive possible.
And then after that, the second time that they had them that way, and they had the punt, and the Canton boys tried to handle that punt, and as a result of that, Troy got the ball on the Canton 35, and from that point on in have worked the ball in for the touchdown that could be.
That's right. The big plays of the 4th quarter have been the performed by the punting team, or the 3rd and 4th quarter, and that has pretty well kept the Warriors backed up. And now the score is 13-12. Trojans going for a 2-point conversion to possibly take the lead. We have an official calling timeout to clear spectators back out of the end zone because he does not want an interference from the fans there.
Okay, we've got Russell wide out, number 28. We've got Ross, 24, in the slot. Timeout Troy as they decide to huddle back up on this crucial down. So we're going to come back with tonight's cable cast. We'll be back after this word from our message, or our sponsors, rather.
It hurts him because not working on defense out there.
I've gone to the field before, now I can.
Troy was...
Well, we've got both coaches out on the field in this fourth, or crucial two-point conversion possibility coming up. The Trojans were up to the line ready to convert. The officials had to move people out of the end zone to make it open, so in case there was a play in there. And then Troy called a timeout, so we're now back with 8:06 remaining in the fourth quarter. It's 13-12. Canton clinging to a one-point lead. Troy going for the lead with the two-point conversion. So they break huddle, and here we go.
Trojans going for the two-point conversion to possibly take the lead. We've got 8:06 to go in the game. Following the touchdown, Hawley back to pass, stumbles, throws the back of the end zone. The ball is tipped away by Russ Morgan. The two-point conversion fails.
Big play by
And
Rusty Morgan.
there is a flag down. Is there a flag down? Interference? Trojans are clapping their hands, but the pass was incomplete.
There appeared to be some pushing in the back of the end zone there at the time that the ball got there, so it's possible that...
That's right, interference called against the Warriors, which gives them 1.5 yards to go for the two-point conversion, and they'll try again.
So here we go for the two-point conversion again.
Double tight ends for the Trojans. Wilson lines up on the wrong side and moves. And the running back, Spencer is in for the two-point conversion. Keith Spencer takes the dive play over the right side. Excuse me, I think that's, who is that? 61.
61?
Looks like they put Scott Knoll back at a running back.
Huh.
I'm really confused now, but at any rate, the Troy Trojans go ahead
14-13.
14-13 on the two-point conversion. And while we await the kick, we'll let our sponsors give us a word.
Well, we'll have to say that Troy definitely came here to play this afternoon as we expected from both of these teams. We're in a real close battle, 14-13 with 8:06 remaining in the fourth quarter. Troy's ahead after the two-point conversion that put them ahead for the short
Nice
kick.
kick, high kick, fielded by Tim Ward. Ward has room to his right. He's break down the sideline and taken out of bounds at the 45. Taken out of bounds at the Trojan 45, but we have a clip on the play. A clip called against the Canton Warriors. We'll back it all up.
Tim Ward had a beautiful run there, but somehow or other when those spontaneous plays take place.
The ball will be backed up 15 yards from the point of the clip, which is at the 43-yard line of the Warriors. So the Warriors get backed up into their own territory to start their drive in the fourth quarter.
And they would have had it over the 50, but as it turns out, they're back far in their end of the field now. So that was a big play there. Big play by the Warriors as they made a crucial mistake there with that clipping call, which now makes them have to start back deep in their own territory.
First and 10 for the Warriors. Ball is on their own 28-yard line. And a delay of game will be called on the Warriors here, I think. We have flags fly. Illegal procedure.
Procedure against the Warriors.
And now the Warriors have 1st and 15, so they're digging their hole deeper with costly penalties. Thomason brings the Warriors out in the I formation. 2 tight ends. Tim Brees goes in motion spot. Mike Butters tries the right side and rams into a wall of Trojans.
At the bottom of that pile is number 56, Rathbun, was the main tackler for the Trojans. So that brings up about a 2nd and 11 call for the Warriors as they have the ball at approximately the 27, 28 yard line. So the Warriors have made some mistakes here in this late 3rd quarter and early 4th quarter that have cost them dearly.
Trojans lead 14-13. Thomason back to pass, looks for Bill Cawley long down the sideline, and there's an interference call.
Yes.
The interference call against the Trojans. Cawley trying to get to the pass. Defenders blocked his path there. 2 defenders. And that'll be an interference call. And I think that's 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, isn't it, Tim?
Yes, I believe. It's not like in the pros. So we're going to get the automatic first down. And that brings the ball out to about the 42-yard line for the Warriors. 7:14 in the game remaining.
So I guess turnabout's fair play as the Warriors make some costly penalties, and now the Trojans assessed for one. And it's 1st and 10, Warriors at their own 42. Thomason calls the signals, takes the snap from Jack Steiner, hands off to Butters. Butters tries the middle of the line, and he's brought down there by number 31, Morgan White. And there's that name again, Tim. We've called Morgan White time and time again on the defense for the Trojans. He certainly anchors that defense for them.
In there in the middle linebacker, or the 2 inside linebackers, he seems to be the one that has a nose for the ball and is there all the time. So they stopped very short yardage there. Butters picked up about 2 yards. It's going to be 2nd and 8. The ball just about to the 45-yard line.
We remind you, Trojans lead 14-13. There's 6:42 to go in the game. Thomason takes a snap, drops back to throw under a lot of pressure, steps up, looks for more time, and he has Brackman downfield, but the ball goes through his hands.
Pass is intended for Stacy Brackman. He had the ball in his hand, and it just kind of squirted out. He was turning as he tried to catch it. Wide open, no one around him. Good protection given to him by the Warrior line. Well, that's going to bring up a 3rd and rather long yardage. 3rd and about 7 or 8. This is a crucial situation for the Warriors here with 6:31 remaining. They've got to keep a drive going to have any chance of winning.
I think it's important that they don't give the ball back to the Trojans now if they want to get down and score, because the Trojans were able to move the ball. Long pass for Brackman, and he catches this one for a 1st down. Double covered. Thomason threw the ball right in there to Brackman, and he came down with it from between 2 defenders. 1st down and 10 for the Warriors at the Trojan 40-yard line.
I think that's nice that Thomason came back to Brackman again. I think he realized that Brackman just didn't quite have that last one, and he was capable of catching. He has been all year. So they came back, and he redeemed himself by making a nice grab.
Thomason brings up the Warriors for 1st and 10 at the Trojan 40. Takes a snap, pitches to Tim Ward, who tries the right side of the line, skates around there, turns upfield and fumbles. Ball squirts out of Ward's hand, and it's recovered by Brian Watkins, number 89.
Rathbun
Trojans will take over there.
Rathbun, 56 for the Trojans, in on the tackle, helped create that fumble by tackling it low. And
we have 1st and 10 for the Trojans on their own, on the Trojan 34-yard line. With 5:34 to go in the game, handoff goes to Morgan White, and he rips up the middle for almost 5 yards.
Well, the Warriors have their work cut out for them with 5:22 to go. They've got to get the ball back either with the turnover or just have a good defensive stand here and not allow the Trojans to pick up any first downs, because if they can do that, they're going to run the clock out with a 1-point lead at this point.
2nd down and 5 for the Warriors. 2nd down and 5 for the Trojans, Hawley takes a snap, hands to Keith Spencer, who is buried under a pile after pickup of maybe a yard. And I think the Trojans playing a little cautious now. They just want to move that ball down the field a little and hang on to it as long as they can to run some time down. There's 4:39 to go in the game and counting.
So we're into a 3rd down situation, 3rd and about a long 4. So this is one where the Warriors want to stop them. Troy's probably going to try to pick up the first down, if not punt it and pin Canton back deep in their own territory.
Linebackers for the Warriors come on a stunt. Run over the left side by Morgan White, and he's up close to the first down, and I think he will have first down yardage.
They may have to measure.
They're going to measure. Chainsman began to get ready to move, but the officials say they'll measure it, and they're going to bring it out.
This will be an important, looks like it is a first
He's got it by a half a yard. So 1st down and 10, Troy Trojans with 4:08 to go in the game, and the Trojans leading 14-13. They have a 1st and 10 at their own 44-yard line.
Well, the thing that's gotten Troy to this point in the game has been some good hard hitting on defense, and they've created some fumbles here in the second half. The Warriors have gotten a couple fumbles in the first half. Let's see if their defense can hit hard and possibly do the same thing. Good hard
Spencer hit in the backfield by Tim Ward coming on a stunt and drops him at the line of scrimmage. We're down to 3 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the game and counting.
2nd and a long 10 for the Trojans. The time's running. Warriors are going to have to be thinking about using some of their timeouts to stop the clock here, if they can hold them here on 2nd down possibly.
Brian Hawley calls the signals, drops back, hands off on the little delay play there to Keith Spencer, who gets maybe a half a yard over the left side of the line. It's 3rd down and about 9.5 to go. We're under 3 minutes to go in the game, 2:56, and the Warriors are saving their timeouts, it appears.
Steve, I don't think the Trojans are too concerned at this point with picking up the first down. They're just interested in taking their time and running the clock down as far as they can before they have to turn it over if they do.
Hawley takes a snap, gives on the ground. It's fumbled. Spencer fumbles, and the Warriors have recovered at the 45-yard line, their own 45.
Well, that
Dave Brees on the fumble recovery.
Well, it is a crucial turnover, but maybe Troy trying to play a little cautious there on offense may have possibly been something that might have cost them the game here with not much time to go. All the plays are brought in from the sidelines with relays, so we'll have to see how many plays they can get off with 2:20 remaining. 1st and 10. Ball on the 45 of the Canton Warriors.
Thomason sets his backfield, puts Cauley out to the right. Pitches to Tim Ward around the left side. Ward can't get behind his blockers, and Ward is taken down by Jim Shedden on a sweep. Clock continues to run. We're down under 2 minutes to go.
Play was
And the
out.
Warriors now call a timeout.
So we've got timeout in the Old Shoe Classic with minute 53 left in the game, so we'll take a commercial message.
we said coming into the game, Tim, that it should be a fairly even matchup, and it's just that. It was score stands at 14-13 with a minute 53 to go in the game. The Warriors have the ball on their own 44-yard line with a second down and 11. And I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast the passing of Sean Tymason probably to be one of the big factors. And I think if the Warriors are going to get down here for a win, they're going to have to rely on the passing of Sean Tymason. The Trojans have used some fine passing by Brian Hawley themselves to take this 14-13 lead, and they're looking to hang on to it. Pass goes to Stacy Brackman on 2nd and 11 and slips through his hands. The incompletion does stop the clock, but it'll be 3rd down and 11.
He was wide open. Again, it was similar to the play that he dropped earlier where the ball was there, but the ball is probably a little bit greasy with the field being in the condition it is, but it looked like it was a catchable ball. Tension's tough out there. It's really difficult. Here we go with a 3rd down and 10. The Warriors definitely have to convert on one of these next 2 plays, get that 1st down.
3rd down and a little over 10 yards. Tymason takes the snap, drops back to throw. He's under a lot of pressure. Throws for Cawley, and it's way out of bounds.
Well, the game's going to come down to one play right now with a 4th and 10 for the Warriors with the ball on their own 45-yard line. So they're either going to pick up a 1st down and possibly continue their drive, or they're going to turn the ball over to the Trojans in their own end of the field. So this is going to be a big call here. It surprises me, Steve, that they, despite the fact that they're going to be passing, they're coming out with a tight end, 2 tight end offense. Usually they split Cawley out, but they're starting from a tight end again on 4th down.
Dan Wisniewski in a tailback takes the fake, throws a good block. Pass goes to Cawley. 1st down, Warriors.
Boy, that was a pressure throw. Cawley jumped up into the air and fielded the ball. He didn't have anyone real close to him, but he had to go up and then was hit soon after he caught it. But he was downfield, and as every good receiver will do.
And the clock is running.
We'll look for that 1st down marker and get by it. A minute 30 to go in the game. 14-13 Troy.
Warriors at the 42-yard line of the Trojans. Tymason back to throw. Under a lot of pressure, rolls. Now he's sacked all the way back to his own 43. And the clock runs on. Warriors call a timeout. So the Warriors go from feast to famine here as they just had the big pickup for the 1st down. Now drop for the big loss. And
that big sack was made by Mike Gordon, number 86 for the Trojans. So they gave him quite a bit of time, but the receivers must have been covered, and as a result, he had to run around trying to get free. Well, let's go for a commercial message as we take a pause in the Old Shoe Classic.
the young Troy Trojan team came to the Canton Warriors field set to play hard-nosed football against an equally young Canton Warrior team. And it's been a day of tough, closely fought battle. Tymason back to throw. Looks for Tim Ward, and the pass goes through Ward's hands. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 23 yards.
Well, one thing, the receivers for the Warriors appear to be getting open, but and the ball seems to be, in most cases, seems to be thrown there, but they just don't seem to quite be able to hang on to the ball. It's there. They've been able to pick up that crucial 4th down situation. Let's see what happens. This is 3rd and long. They've got to pick up a big chunk of that if they're going to have any chance at all to score. The Trojans are playing a loose defense. They're back guarding against the deep pass.
And the pass is intercepted. Tipped by Cawley, and Rick Ross comes down with the interception. The Trojans will take over 1st and 10 at their own 45-yard line. and that would appear to about sew it up. The Trojans have merely to run the clock out now, Tim.
Yep, it was kind of a delayed slant over the middle to Colley, but it was thrown way behind him, and he managed to reach behind him and try to pull the ball in, but it just went off his fingertips right into Ross's hands, and so we've got 48 seconds left, and all the Trojans have to do is kind of sit on the ball for a few downs, and they've got the win, 14-13, and they're going to drop on it.
And the Warriors all dive in there trying to get on that ball, but Holly won't let them in there.
If they get a good snap from the center each time, very little opportunity for a fumble if they wrap it up tight.
We're down to 26 seconds to go in the game. The Warriors have just called a timeout, and I believe that's their final timeout. Stacy Brackman comes over to talk to his coaches, Coach Miller Moyer and Coach Jake Schaefer. On the far side, head coach Mark Strzelecki of the Trojans comes out to talk to his team that appears they'll win the Old Shoe Classic and possibly launch themselves into district play.
Yeah, so they've got everything going for them. They've got to be higher than a kite out there in the huddle, and the Canton has to be very, very depressed standing over there in their defensive huddle, thinking that they're going to be going down to a defeat to their arch rival by a score of 14-13. They've made a lot of mistakes, but some of them were forced by the Troy defense on two of those fumbles, and that interception was a nice job by, was it Ross? They managed to take that almost right off the ground after a poor throw by Tymason was deflected. So here we go with a second down.
And the Trojans have Keith Spencer way back. He'd be the one that, in case they should fumble, he's designated to tackle the man so they don't give up a cheap touchdown here. And after that snap, the ball will be placed, and the Trojans don't have to snap it again. We're down to 15 seconds in the game, and the clock is running, and that'll be all she wrote for the Old Shoe game. The Troy Trojans are going to come away 14-13 winners over the Canton Warriors. That's the end of the game. Old Shoe goes back to Troy this year. And now the series will stand at 14 wins for the Troy Trojans, 15 for the Warriors, and 3 ties.
Very, very even, and when you consider it's gone on since 1955, and in this particular year, the Trojans seem to be going along to a really great season, and then with the problems they had towards the end of the year that kind of evened things out, it turned out to be a very even game with the Trojans coming out with a 1-point victory. And you have to admire Coach Strzelecki for his guts there to try and go for the 2-point conversion back at the time when, after a fumbled or a muff punt that we didn't handle cleanly, that the Warriors didn't handle cleanly, and the Trojans recovered on the 35-yard line. They were able to move the ball down, score a touchdown, and then after doing that, they decided to line up for the 2-point conversion. The Warriors, on a pass into the end zone, had some interference, so that gave them the ball down on the 1.5-yard line because the pass had been incomplete in the end zone. So then they decided to run a ball right up the middle, and as it turned out, that run, and we weren't sure who scored the touchdown, whether it was 61
or the conversion.
Scott, no, yeah. Oh yeah, for the conversion, the 2-point conversion. But that turned out, that gutsy call by the Trojans ended up to be the deciding point at about, I forget the time at that, it was like 7 or 8 minutes, 8:05 I guess in the game, and that turned out to be all the points that we were going to get, and that's all the Trojans needed.
So the big story for the Warriors on the day was the running of Mike Butters as he led them and had a 4-yard touchdown run in the first period and a 51-yard touchdown run in the second period. Point after the first touchdown, the kick was good by Scott May, and after the second, on a bad snap, they were unable to convert that one. The Troy Trojans had gotten on the board first with a 49-yard pass from Hawley to John Russell, and they had missed their conversion. And then in the fourth quarter, Trojans scored another touchdown on the 4-yard run by Morgan White. The ensuing 2-point conversion was good, and that's the story for the Old Shoe game. The Troy Trojans come away 14-13 winners over the Canton Warriors. And we've enjoyed bringing you this cable cast. And we hope you have enjoyed this, which has been brought to you by these fine sponsors. The First National Bank of Canton for CashStream. Wheeler's Restaurant, delicious meals and friendly service. Joe's Sports Center for Action Suzuki four-wheelers. The Troy Auto Parts Store, your Napa dealer. Kay and Sue's Restaurant, the best coffee in town. The Canton Telephone Company for call waiting. The Canton Pharmacy, your complete prescription center. Calkins Motor Sales for Ram Tough Dodge trucks. First Bank of Troy, now with Troy Teller. Morrison Seeger, Philco, Quasar, and King Coil dealer. The Shawley Agency, your independent agent. Armenia Mountain Trading Post for comfortable shoes. Eastern Milk Producers, dairy stores in Canton and Troy. The Canton Card and Gift Shop for American greeting cards. 14 Appliance and TV Center, RCA and Panasonic in Troy and Canton. Baldwin's Hardware, Service Star quality with friendly service. Cards Furniture, 300 Lazy Boys in stock. C&B Sporting Goods, everything for the 100. Gustin's Jewelry, custom workmanship at affordable prices. And by the D&H Keystone Market. Meats, produce, and Pennsylvania Lottery. Please remember to patronize our sponsors and tell them that you heard their ad here on this Channel 10 cable cast of the Old Shoe Classic. Our congratulations go out to the Troy Trojans on a hard-fought victory.